May 6, 1882, barring entry. The Chinese Exclusion Act signed into law was the first major federal legislation in the United States to restrict immigration based on ethnicity. It specifically targeted Chinese laborers, prohibiting their immigration for 10 years and denying them eligibility for naturalization. The law emerged amid rising anti-Chinese sentiment fueled by economic tensions and racial prejudice in the western United States. The origins of the Chinese Exclusion Act trace back to the mid-19th century. Following the California Gold Rush and the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, thousands of Chinese immigrants had arrived in the U.S., primarily to work as laborers. Although their labor was instrumental in key infrastructure projects, many American workers viewed Chinese laborers as economic threats, accusing them of depressing wages and taking jobs. Political pressure to curb Chinese immigration intensified in the 1870s. The Page Act of 1875 had already barred the entry of Chinese women, reflecting a broader goal of preventing family formation and long-term settlement. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 took a more sweeping approach by halting the entry of all Chinese laborers and requiring those already present to obtain certificates of residence. Anyone without proper documentation faced deportation. The act marked a turning point in U.S. immigration policy. It institutionalized racial discrimination in federal law and set a precedent for future immigration restrictions. Although initially intended to last 10 years, the act was renewed in 1892 through the Gyory Act and made permanent in 1902. It remained in effect until its repeal in 1943, when the U.S. sought to strengthen ties with China during World War II. Enforcement of the law led to the creation of a new bureaucratic framework for immigration control, including registration systems and identification documents. Chinese immigrants were subjected to interrogations, surveillance, and detention. Angel Island in San Francisco Bay became a key site for processing and detaining Chinese immigrants, often under harsh conditions. The social and legal impact of the Chinese Exclusion Act was far-reaching. It contributed to the marginalization of Chinese communities in America and fueled broader nativist movements that would later target other ethnic groups. The law also prompted legal challenges that influenced constitutional interpretations of citizenship and equal protection. Notably, the 1898 Supreme Court case, United States v. Wong Kim Ark, affirmed birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment, a ruling that had implications for all children born in the U.S., regardless of parental origin. In retrospect, the Chinese Exclusion Act represents a defining example of how federal law has been used to enforce racial boundaries. It also illustrates the connection between domestic politics, labor market pressures, and immigration policy. Its legacy continues to inform discussions on immigration law and civil rights in the United States. For enthusiasts of historical ephemera, visit history-collectors.com to find collectibles that might complement your collection. You can own a piece of history,